Good morning, family. This is Ricky, and welcome to Hope for Today. A couple of weeks ago, I preached a sermon from Hebrews 13 and 16, where the author admonished the Christians who were just starting to feel the first tinges of persecution to not allow the tough things that they were going through to prevent them from doing the good things for others that Christ had called them to do. And when you have adversity in your life, when you have weights that are burdensome in your life, when there's disruption in your life, all of us are guilty of allowing our troubles to prevent us from seeing the trouble that is going on in others. And I think to some extent that's okay, right? Like if your house is on fire, it's hard to, put out another fire and another house. And I think that's fair. But I think sometimes that we'll have, if you will, the minor things going on in our house, but there's still a major fire going on in someone else's house. And we forget that that little spark does not allow you to ignore the major fire that's going on in someone else's life. Does that make sense, guys? My point is this: do good in the earth. Be a blessing. Extend charity and goodwill to others. Today is a brand new day, and you're going to bump into somebody that's going to need either a gentle word or a little inspiration and encouragement. You may have a family member that could use a helping hand, a coworker that'll be a little down and needs you to roll up your sleeves and give the extra hand. And I just want to remind you that that is where Christianity is at. Our life doesn't even make sense until we are sacrificing and giving our way to others. See, that's what Jesus did to us. That's what he calls us to do for others. Jesus here in Matthew 25 and verse 39 is reminding them of how it will be in the last days when he returns, and those who will be surprised that they're not going to be welcomed into heaven. Jesus is going to say that you ultimately did not know me, because at the end of the day, if you know me, you'll show up like me. Jesus is essentially saying in this passage that you'll know a tree by its fruit. And that's why I want to make sure that that fruit of goodness and kindness is extending from you and me. Verse 39, he says, when they see him, he'll say, when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? In verse 40, Jesus says, the king will answer them, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me. And one of the things he's saying is that if you know me, if I'm in you, these actions of goodness and mercy will flow from your being. And I notice that one of them is just to visit with people. Jesus says, when do we see you sick or in prison and visit you? And I want to ask you today to prayerfully consider whom the Spirit wants you to visit with. Spirit wants to show up in somebody watching today. He wants you to show up for him at somebody's hospital bedside, on somebody's text message thread, at somebody's moving event for this week, and you were like, last thing I want to do is help you move. Or he wants you to show up at something they've invited you to. God wants you to show up and visit with somebody so you can extend charity and goodwill towards others. Because, friend, that's where life is truly found. Days like today, and really all this week, I just miss Mom. And a lot of you watching have lost loved ones who really made an indelible impact on your life. And surely she made that on me. The sweetest memory, one of the sweetest memory I have comes from January of 1997, which would have been 2 months before my mom passed away. She was bedridden at the time. The cancer had kind of taken over and she could no longer kind of be mobile. And I was still trusting Jesus for a miracle. And Mom lay in her bed, sick, could barely even speak. And there was a song called I Am Healed, Pastor James Moore. And I just sat by Mama's bedside and I had that song on something called CD repeat. And I put the CD in and, the choir goes, I am healed by the wounds in his side. So I allowed that song to just blanket us while I sat next to her bed and read my Bible and prayed and just sat next to my mama for a couple of hours. And God didn't heal her the way we thought he was. He healed her when he brought her to heaven. And my point is this, Ricky, you're saying, I can go visit somebody, but I don't know what good I could do. Sometimes what you do for somebody when you just sit with them and just get in what they're in, even if you can't fix it, but you let them know that somebody else is in it with them, can be a world of difference. And I can tell you this, 25 years later, that visit is a visit I come back to in my heart and soul almost every other day. So my point is this: you may think you're giving them something, but what you'll understand is that that will really be giving you something that'll nurture your soul for years and years to come. Let it be said of us this day that we did good in the world and we showed up for Christ. I love y'all so much. And that's hope for today. I'll see you next time.